Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, Australia. My name is Laura Jewell. I'm Head of Market for Wine Australia for the UK and Europe, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here today to this Women in Wine event. In fact, series of events across the day with trade and consumer tastings and seminar. But I think the most important thing that I've been fascinated to find out is, with such overwhelming support from all of you, we actually have the largest gathering of winemakers outside of Australia, of Australian winemakers. Never mind gender, it's the largest gathering of winemakers and principals. So thank you all for your support and for coming. I'm also going to thank Accolade Wines for providing the arras. It's not often that I start the day at 9:30 with a glass of fizz, but it went down extremely well. And I'm so looking forward to congratulating all the winners of the awards in this Australian Women in Wine Awards. I'm going to hand over to my chairman of Wine Australia, Brian Walsh. One quick note, whilst I remember, is can you please put your phones on silent as we are being, hopefully, live streamed to Australia. So on that note, I'll hand over to Brian.
Thanks, Laura. If I can add my welcome as well and say hi back home. I did some research and I haven't been able to find a collective noun for a mob of women in wine. So with the approval of our resident artist, Alex, whose work you've seen downstairs, I've coined flourish. I think it actually embellishes a lot of what we're on about here, so you are officially, at least for today, a flourish of women in wine. A couple of years ago, Karina Wright and Sam Connu arranged to meet us at Wine Australia to discuss women in wine, not with this event in mind, but more the troubling statistics of the high attrition rate of women in our sector, from quite good graduation numbers to very low numbers within a decade. The reasons are many and complex, but whatever they are, it's just such a significant loss of intellect to our grape and wine community and needs to be redressed. So it needs addressing so we can improve equity, fairness, diversity, and ultimately prosperity and productivity. So behind the fun part of the celebration, which is also important, there is also much work to be done with the more boring aspect of long-term cultural change. And Wine Australia is committed to playing our part in that process. Anyway, back to the fun bit. You are the stars, essentially, and we hope you will be an inspiration to future generations of women in wine. It's really part of what we're trying to do here is to actually let people know that there is a great career for women, so stay the course, and hopefully you'll be able to help mentor people along the way. So essentially, just a few thanks. Thanks to Jane Thompson and her advisory board for sharing her event with Wine Australia. Thanks to our Wine Australia UK team in particular, Laura Jewell, MW, who you've met, Emma Symington, MW, Kirsty Savoury, Christine Goss and Emma Bohm. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure this goes as well as it possibly can. Thanks to our Wine Australia team back home for the support they've provided. Many of the ladies in the room would know, but some of the guests may not, but we had a lovely welcoming evening last night at the home of our High Commission, hosted by Nikki Downer, so thanks to Nikki in her absence, but that was a great way to break the ice. And thank you all for coming, and I hope that the day and the week and the year flourishes for you as a result of today's activity. It's my pleasure now to hand over to Jane Thompson. Jane is the Fabulous Ladies Wine Society, and she is the founder of the Australian Women in Wine Awards event, and she will take over the proceedings from now. Thanks, Jane.
Well, this is pretty incredible. I wish actually everybody in the world right now was able to see what I can see. It's quite overwhelming. Good morning to everybody here in London and good evening to everybody watching at home in Australia and around the world. When I started the Fabulous Ladies Wine Society 5 years ago to address what I perceived as a gender imbalance in wine communications, I was met with, well, a bit of resistance. Many in the wine community and beyond didn't like it. And it also didn't take me long to realise that the gender imbalance in wine ran deep. And I found myself passionately advocating on behalf of the women in wine that I was working with. Starting the Women in Wine Awards 2 years ago was just an extension of that passion. Over the last few years that I have been doing this work, I have been publicly ridiculed, regularly trolled, sent graphic insults as well as threats of personal violence, merely for daring to take a stand on this issue of gender inequality. My own experience is not isolated, though it's probably at the more extreme end, and I don't pretend that these issues exist only within the wine industry, because gender equality is a battle on many fronts. There's a quote attributed to Gandhi, although whether he actually said it or not is somewhat disputed, but a dear friend of mine shared it with me at a particularly low time, and it's this: first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And I want to say to the women in wine standing here in this room and to the ones watching at home that I do see today as a day of victory, and that victory is ours. This is a pivotal moment in Australia's proud wine history, because today we stand together on a global stage and we say with a newfound strength and confidence that we are Australian women in wine. And the energy that we felt in the last day or so of being together has been quite amazing, I'm sure you will agree. But here's the thing, it's going to take bucket loads of this kind of energy to create the real and lasting change we all want to see, because there's still so much more to be done. But today is about celebration. It's about recognising collectively and publicly how far we've come and what we've achieved, and shining the light on some women in particular who have soared high over the previous 12 months. These awards would not be possible without a crack team that I like to call the Australian Women in Winery Awards, I can't say it now, the Australian Women in Wine Awards Advisory Board. And I would like to publicly acknowledge and thank Tony Carlino, Samantha Connew, Rebecca Richardson and Karina Wright, who are all in the room right now, and to Jenny Port and Sarah Andrew, who we know are watching it live at celebration events that are taking place right across Australia. So hello, ladies. I also thank and applaud the vision and support of Wine Australia in bringing the awards to London this year. It's already been a fantastic experience, we know. And Brian, we're thinking New York next year, if that's all right. Of course, I would also wholeheartedly like to thank our sponsors, who we'll go through in just a moment, because without their support, these awards would not exist. Right then, I think we're ready. So good luck to all the finalists, and let the announcement of the 2017 Australian Women Wine Awards begin. I would first of all like to thank our gold partners, Honorary St Martin, who have been with us since the very beginning. Wine Business Magazine, who have also been a great supporter of ours since 2015. Ladies who shoot their lunch. Couldn't be more perfect. And also, Pernod Ricard Winemakers. I'd also like to thank our silver sponsors, Barraquette Stanton, Wine Titles, Qantas Epicure and Riedel. And our bronze partners, CSIRO, McCoe Group, Broken Wood and Classic Oak Products. Now, there's so many people in the room and lots watching at home, so don't forget to join the conversation. Social media is alive and happening, so make sure you tweet, Instagram and Facebook everything that is happening. The Australian Women in Wine Awards acknowledges and rewards the work of women in the Australian wine industry and industry leaders who champion equality and fairness for all sexes in the workplace. It is currently the only awards program for women in wine in the world. And we will begin with our first award. which is, and it follows the order that's in your programs today, the Researcher of the Year Award, which is proudly sponsored by Inkwell Wines. The Researcher of the Year is open to an individual or a team who have demonstrated excellence in the field of grape and/or wine research. And the finalists are Christine Butcher from the CSIRO Agriculture and Food. Since 2008, Christine has been working as a postdoctoral fellow and research scientist within a research group at CSIRO. Her research looks at innovative solutions to the effect on climate change on the Australian wine industry and an in-depth investigation into grape berry ripening. The latter has resulted in the development of methods to manipulate grape berry ripening that will improve fruit and wine quality and resolve some climate change-induced harvesting issues. Dr. Kerry Wilkinson and Dr. Renata Ristich from Adelaide University. Kerry is the Associate Professor of Enology and Renata is a Doctor of Philosophy and a Senior Research Fellow. During the last 5 years, they have worked together to apply their expertise to a range of grape and wine projects, none more important than their research into the impact of bushfire smoke on wine grapes, known as smoke taint. The duo has developed methods for the detection and quantifying of smoke taint in both grapes and wine. They have co-authored almost half the peer-reviewed journal articles worldwide and are regarded as the go-to experts on the subject. And our final finalist is Patricia Williams from the Australian Wine Research Institute. Patricia is a senior sensory scientist responsible for research in wine quality and consumer preferences. In the last 5 years, her work has concentrated on comparing Chinese new-to-wine consumers to Australian wine drinkers. It is believed to be the first cross-cultural sensory preference study published in wine. She has also been involved in collating wine terms relevant from a Chinese language and cultural perspective. Her work gives the Australian wine community an important understanding of the drivers of consumer preference in China. I would now like to invite Isa Bal, the Group Head Sommelier at the Fat Duck, to present this award on behalf of Inkwell Wines.
The Researcher of the Year award goes to Christine Butcher. Christine could not be with us here today, but she has prepared an acceptance speech, which we are able to see in a moment.
Well, good morning to all the fabulous wine ladies there in London, and good evening to everyone who is watching in Australia. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to accept the Australian Women in Wine Researcher of the Year award. It is a great recognition for the work that I'm so passionate about, and I thank the fabulous Women in Wine Society for giving this award to me. In saying that, I would like to congratulate Kerry Wilkinson, Renata Ristich and Patricia Williamson for making this an all-Adelaide, all-weight campus group of finalists, and I know that all of you would have been just as deserving to win this award. I would also like to say a big thank you to the CSIRO Wine Grapes and Horticulture group here in Adelaide, especially to Chris Davies, Krista Burbage and Katie Harvey, who are the wonderful team that I get to work with every day and who have made this award possible. And last but not least, I want to thank Wine Australia for their amazing support for our research over the past 10 years, and also for being part of this fantastic event. So, here's to all of you. Cheers.
And the next award is the Cellar Person of the Year, which is proudly sponsored by Platinum Bags. This award recognises an outstanding cellar door employee, manager, operator, owner, or other relevant title relevant to the cellar door for their exceptional skills at the cellar door. And the finalists are Janine Carter from Voyager Estate in the Margaret River. The wine experience at Voyager Estate comprises a wine room, restaurant and direct sales area, all of which is directly overseen by Janine. In 2012, the wine room was refurbished to incorporate seated tastings, and people now pay to sit down with themed flights of wine, self-guided or with a staff member. In 2014, a 6-course discovery menu was offered at the restaurant. Last year, another big step was taken. A tasting fee was introduced on every wine tasting, with 3 flights of wine offered, accompanied by wine-friendly shared plates. This innovation now allows Janine to introduce museum wines for tasting. Jasmine Morgan from Cordeaux Vineyard in the Riverland. Jasmine believes the Cellar wine tasting experience should not only be informative and educational, but fun and relaxed. She is involved in every aspect of the Cordeaux Vineyard Cellar d'Or and encourages wine lovers to discover more about the vineyards, the source of the wines they are drinking, leading them to a lookout point with a 360-degree view of the site. Born and raised in the Riverland, the country's largest wine region, she is committed to not only showcasing the wines of Cordeaux, but the region itself. The company collaborates with many regional food and beverage bodies to offer more options and assistance to Cellar d'Or visitors new to the Riverland. And Sharon Stagg from Joseph Cromie Wines in Tasmania. Sharon is a trained wine professional who ensures visitors to Joseph Cromie, many of whom are from interstate or overseas, have the opportunity to learn about the producer. Visitors are seated overlooking the vineyards. Tastings are offered for a small fee, and wine lovers are invited to taste 5 estate wines or choose others off the list. The Joseph Cromie is a member of Ultimate Winery Experiences Australia, highlighting great winery experiences. Whether it's fly fishing with lunch to follow or a 1-hour winery tour guided by Sharon called Go Behind the Label. And I'd now like to invite Samantha Conyu to the stage to present this award on behalf of Platinum Bags.
Well, it's my great pleasure to present this award on behalf of Platinum Bags, and now I get to say something that I've always wanted to say, and the winner is Jasmine Morgan from Cordeaux Vineyards, which is fantastic. Congratulations. Jasmine's not here this morning or this evening, but I believe that we've got a presentation that she will give.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to London, but I'll be back here in the Riverland celebrating with some bubbles and good company. I'm so thrilled and incredibly honoured to receive this award. Thank you so much to the Australian Women in Wine Awards, the Fabulous Ladies Wine Society, the judges, and the award sponsor Platinum Bags. I'd also like to congratulate the other 2 finalists, Janine Carter and Sharon Stagg, so cheers to you. Applying for this award was such a big leap for me, and now being recognised for my work in the Cellar d'Or has given me so much confidence and pride. It means the world to me, thank you. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Cordeaux Vineyard, Jo, Christine, Zach, firstly for giving me the opportunity to work for your exciting growing family business, and for providing me with such a social dynamic workplace. Thank you for everything that you've taught me, and for all your support in everything that I do. Also thanks to my amazing team of staff who make every day at work so much fun. These awards are not only a great opportunity to recognise and reward outstanding women in wine, but also a chance to celebrate all the wonderful women who aren't afraid to get their hands purple and to be leaders in the wine industry. So I encourage everyone here to nominate a dedicated individual next year. Thanks.
Congratulations, Jasmine. I'm sure there's a big party happening in the Riverland right now. Our next award on the program is our Viticulturist of the Year, and this one is sponsored by Wine Australia. This award recognises a vineyard owner or wine grape grower who, as a consultant, employee, managing director or CEO, has made an outstanding contribution to the Australian wine grape growing industry. And the finalists are Brooke Howell from Yalumba. Brooke is the technical manager for Yalumba and Hillsmith family vineyards in the Barossa and Eden Valleys, looking after the health and welfare of 185 separate blocks of vines. Fascinated by organic and biodynamic viticulture, she continues to lead in this area and in 2015 received the Silver Award for Young Organic Leader Under 30 in the Australian Organic Annual Awards. Her current work is focused on addressing the likely effects of climate change and a drier future for grape growing. Jennifer Doyle, Jance, Tasmania. The long-time viticulturist for Frogmore Creek Vineyard, Jennifer stayed on when Hill-Smith Family Vineyards bought the property and renamed it Jance Parish Vineyard. Shortly after the ownership change in 2013, she embarked on a major vineyard program, one of the most extensive viticultural works undertaken in Tasmania in recent times. The original 62-hectare site was redeveloped and a second vineyard, 42 hectares at Fawcett, was planted. Local Bhutanese refugees make up the bulk of the Jance skilled workforce, and Jennifer speaks proudly of her involvement in their education and training. In 2012, she was awarded the Dr. Don Martin Sustainable Viticulture Fellowship. And Melissa Brown from Gemtree Wines in McLaren Vale. Gemtree vineyards comprise 124 hectares and wine is made for the Gemtree label, and the company also supplies fruit to 9 other companies, including Pernod Ricard and Angoves. Melissa liaises with all companies to meet their specific fruit specifications and grades of quality. In 2007, despite opposition and scepticism from some colleagues, she converted the Gemtree vineyards from conventional practices to biodynamic. Today, it is one of the largest certified organic vineyards in the country. She regularly participates in scientific research projects, and her vineyard has been the site for what is believed to be the largest project of its kind in the world. This is a bit exciting. A 6-year trial comparing organic, biodynamic, and conventional viticulture. I'd now like to invite Wine Australia Board Director Eliza Brown to the stage to present this award.
Thank you. There's 2 reasons why I'm very excited about handing over this award today. One is our father was a viticulturist, and he's not with us anymore, so I'm very proud. And also being a director on the Wine Australia Board with Brian. So I'm very proud to say the Viticulturist of the Year is Jennifer Doyle from Jance. Hey. And she's coming up to accept the award now. So exciting. Well, thank you so much. Which one would you like first? And this beautiful decanter. I'll hold this for you. Okay. Oh, me too? Oh.
Everybody's looking.
Go video.
Go Jen. Thank you. Do you want to say a few words, Jen?
I won't remember anything, but just a big thank you to everyone who's here to share in this great celebration of women in wine in Australia. Thank you to the fabulous Ladies Wine Society and Wine Australia for putting on this event. To Brooke and Melissa, you deserve this entirely. Just thank you, everyone.
Congratulations again, Jen. The next award that we're presenting this morning is a new one for 2017, and we've called it the Woman of Inspiration Award. There was no entry. It was actually a Judge's Choice Award, and it is proudly sponsored by Irvine Wines. The award, we decided, would recognise a woman whose contribution and achievement has had a significant impact on the Australian wine community. Our inaugural Woman of Inspiration is a leader, naturally blessed with 3 very important qualities. She listens, she inspires, and she empowers. With her viticultural and winemaking team, she is working to answer some of the biggest questions in the Australian wine industry today. Questions to do with sustainability, climate change, and protecting the health of the land for future generations. And that includes future viticulturists and winemakers. And then there are the big questions closer to her home. She lives in the deep red centre for the Cabernet Sauvignon grape in Australia, Coonawarra. How does she continue to engage and astound wine consumers around the world with the great beauty of Cabernet Sauvignon when it's under threat from so many sides? With patience and attention to detail. Our woman of inspiration is quiet, almost to the point of shyness, but looks can be deceiving. Raised in Alice Springs, she originally studied agricultural science at Roseworthy College between 1981 and 1983. Her thoughts moved to wine when she accepted a Penfold scholarship in 1984 to study and review the vineyards of the Kaiserstuhl growers in the Barossa Valley. Then her path to winemaking took a circuitous course, from wine retailing with the Odd Bins chain in London to working vintage at Fetzer Vineyard in California. She was employed at Penfolds in Nuriupta making sparkling wine under the Seaview label, and in 1988 became sparkling winemaker at Seppelt Great Western. Have they worked it out yet? Since 1992, she has lived and worked in Coonawarra. Her first job was as assistant winemaker to Peter Douglas at Wynn's Coonawarra Estate. In 1998, she moved into the top job and she continues in that role today. Possibly her strongest winemaking statement, the one that wine drinkers around the world appreciate, is Black Label Cabernet Sauvignon. It has a timeless quality. Last year, she and fellow Wynn's winemaker Sarah Pigeon were jointly named Winemaker of the Year by the Australian Society of Viticulture and Enology. This year, she is named our inaugural Woman of Inspiration, and this woman, of course, is Sue Hodder, Chief Winemaker of Wynn's Coonawarra. As Sue jumps up onto the stage, I'm also going to invite Rebecca Richardson, winemaker at Irvine Wines, to present her with her award.
Thank you. Well, we were absolutely thrilled to sponsor this award. I'm getting a little teary. I've been shedding tears all morning. I couldn't go to a more deserving person.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll hold these, please.
Let me move my stuff out of the way for you, Sue.
Well, truly, thank you so much to the fabulous ladies of wine. I've just been fortunate enough to tell one important and significant story of Australian wine, which, of course, started in the 1800s with the women settlers, European settlers in Coonawarra, and then the wave of immigrants after the war, mainly from Calabria and the Ukraine, that planted the vineyards, and then, of course, acknowledging absolute legend Pam Dunsford, who was the first female qualified winemaker in Australia and was at Wynn's, and since then other women that have made a contribution to one Australian label. So Sarah Pigeon and I have worked together for 19 years, but we've worked with so many other wonderful women and men. But we all have amazing stories that are both passionate and scientific, innovative. These layers of stories of Australian wine are so amazing, and I'm telling one of them, and you're all telling yours. And thank you to Jane Thompson and the committee, who are truly inspiring, for giving us the opportunity to do that. And thanks again to Wine Australia. Thank you so much. Thanks very much.
I feel a bit teary now. I hope everybody's getting a bit emotional today. It's one of those days, isn't it? And of course, we've got our next award to announce, so still more tears to come. The Marketer of the Year Award is a new one for 2017. We did listen to you, marketers, eventually. We got there. So it's my great pleasure to present the Marketer of the Year Award this year, sponsored by Brown Brothers. The finalists are Ebony Tinkler from Usher Tinkler Wines in the Hunter Valley. Having noted a difficulty in attracting a new and younger audience to the Hunter Valley, Ebony decided to take a different approach. She wanted to create a wine tourism experience that would put a face and personality to her wine brand. She wanted consumers to be able to explore wines in a social setting with good food, all of which gave rise to her new marketing credo, Usher Tinkler Wines, born for sociability. With her husband Usher, the original Pecolban church, built in 1905, was bought around 18 months ago and renovated with seating inside and out and a kitchen. Locally sourced foods showing the depth of the valley's resources were made available to wine tourists, and new wines like the Hunter's First Prosecco have been produced. Our next finalist is Imogen Hayes for hand-picked wines. Imogen has embarked on an ambitious direct-to-consumer marketing strategy for hand-picked wines. In November 2016, she launched the first hand-picked urban cellar door in Chippendale, building an experiential venue destined to become a tourism destination in Sydney. It incorporates fine wine retail, wine tastings, corporate meeting spaces, a wine and cheese lounge, and an events area. It caters specifically to a local corporate market and inbound tourist market. And Trish Barry, Mastermind Consulting. Mastermind Consulting specialises in digital, content, social media and direct marketing, and then in the last 18 months, Trish has specifically reached out to smaller wineries, helping them to build strong digital and direct-to-consumer sales platforms to reach wine consumers. Her online work for clients reaches out to more than 1.8 million wine lovers within Australia, with 328,000 people commenting, liking or sharing her content. Mastermind specialises in Facebook and Instagram advertising, and over the last 18 months has worked with 14 Australian wineries on their social media advertising, managing the campaigns on a daily basis. And I would now like to invite back to the stage Eliza Brown to present this award on behalf of Brown Brothers.
Thank you again. You're probably bored of seeing me now. Thanks on behalf of Brown Brothers. We have, from 2019, we're changing the name to Brown Sisters. Sorry, Ross. I'm going to get in so much trouble. Thank you. So, Marketer of the Year at the London Women in Wine Awards goes to the fabulous Ebony Tinkler. Yeah. I'll take this down for you.
It's a bit ironic that you're speechless when you need to give a speech. Of course, round of applause first to Imogen and to, oh my God, Trish. So, to them, everybody. I really appreciate being recognised and receiving this award. It indicates to me that you believe in what I'm doing as much as I do, and it's really lovely to have that feeling amongst such wonderful people. Big thank you to my team, my awesome hipster guys that are way too cool for me. My husband for letting me use his winemaking abilities and his name for our brand. I'm pretty sure though when I get home I'm going to be changing the signs to Ebony Tinkler Wines. Thank you guys, thank you.
Congratulations, Ebony. Our next award this morning, or this evening, if you're at home in Australia, is the Owner Operator of the Year Award, and it's sponsored by jancesrobinson.com. This award recognises a wine business owner or operator who has made an outstanding contribution to their business in the Australian wine industry. And the finalists are Cassandra McDonald from eBev in Sydney. Cassandra has worked in the wholesale wine industry for the last 8 years, and in October 2015 led a start-up technology business called eBev, where wine buyers for restaurants, venues and wine bars meet, communicate and transact with wine suppliers. It is an online marketplace capable of disrupting the wine industry's traditional way of doing business and changing the way wholesale wine business is done in Australia. There are now more than 2,000 venue and wine buyers in New South Wales and Victoria with registered eBev buying accounts and 260 suppliers and more than 26,000 wines on the eBev database. Since June 2015, eBev has facilitated the delivery of more than 80,000 cases of wine. Our next finalist is Emma Radis from Radis Estate in Coonawarra. Emma Radis, with her husband Stephen, runs Radis Estate Vineyard and Cellar Door in the Coonawarra. Her story is true for many women in wine. At first, sales doubled year on year, production increased to meet the demand, and then their first child arrived. We lost our whole sales staff. Me, said Emma. Unable to be on the road in every state, sales dropped as their family increased. Emma says she then had to get serious and work smarter, and her story is an inspiration to other women coping with similar demands of family and work. Ironically, the best results we've had come at a time where I took more days off, says Emma. Time out is key for both sales achievements and mental well-being. Emma is also chair of the marketing committee at Coonawarra Vignerons. And our last finalist is Sarah Collingwood from Four Winds Vineyard in the Canberra region. Sarah is co-owner of Four Winds Vineyard and under her guidance has developed a new packaging for her wines, a new distributor and is breaking into the highly competitive Sydney market. The new packaging was immediately successful, winning 2 international design awards in 2016 and 17. The Four Winds Cellar Door has been awarded the Canberra and Region Visitors Experience Award for 3 consecutive years, from 2013 to 2015. Sarah is Treasurer of the Canberra District Wine Industry Association, a member of the Yass Valley Council Development Committee, and this year was selected for Wine Australia's Future Leaders program. Her leadership potential was on display when in 2015 she conceived and managed the 4-ton project that turned 4 tonnes of surplus grapes from 3 wineries into wine, raising more than $46,000 for asylum seekers and refugees living in Canberra. It's now my honour to invite Jancis Robinson to the stage to present this award.
Thanks very much, and for everything that you do, or all of you have done, for this great thing. We at jancesrobinson.com are thrilled to be sponsoring this award because we all believe very strongly in female empowerment, even the male members of the team, I can assure you. And obviously I am an owner-operator of jancesrobinson.com, so it seemed a particularly appropriate category to sponsor. I'm very pleased, too, to see that the online world plays such a big part in 2 of the finalists. Wherever this award is being held, and for whichever country we would be for it, but particularly for Australia, because you have to admit the Australian wine scene has been pretty male-dominated for quite a while. I remember on my first trip to Australia far too long ago, I was introduced to Pam Dunsford, our female winemaker. That was in the whole country. And Stephanie has just told me that when Pam was a student at Roseworthy, she was the only female student, and therefore had to sleep in not so splendid isolation in the sick bay, because that was all that was available for her. But when I did go and visit her in situ in Chapel Hill, I was shown round initially by one of her cellar workers, and I must have mentioned him to her, and she said, "He's kind of cute, isn't he?" I say this just to demonstrate that we are not, us women, anti-man by any stretch of the imagination. But when you hear this stuff about Jane being trolled, in the paper today, I read that our leading BBC political commentator has had to hire a bodyguard, Laura Koonsberg, simply because she is a smart woman and is presumably having her life upset by, one has to assume, men who are very definitely not smart. You can see that there are a heck of a lot of obstacles still to be overcome. However, the encouraging thing is just sitting here for all of us and hearing about these amazing achievements that everybody so far mentioned has managed. It's very, very heartwarming and deeply, deeply impressive. So let us see who the owner-operator of the year is, and it's Sarah Collingwood of Four Winds Vineyard.
Well, this is incredibly exciting, but it is quite strange that I'm standing up here by myself. As everyone in the room would know, it's running a small business is not a one-woman job, and I'm so grateful to my husband John and my parents Suzanne and Graham and the whole team at Four Winds Vineyard who make it possible. And also to the amazing Jane Thompson and her team at the Fabulous Ladies Wine Society. I've been told recently that you can't be it if you can't see it. And your work raising the profile of women in the industry is going to encourage a whole generation of fabulous viticulturists and winemakers and business owners. It's such a privilege to be in this industry, and I'm so grateful for this. Thank you.
Sarah, I think I can hear it. I can hear the party in Canberra, because there was a big one happening, I know. Hello to everybody in Canberra, we can hear you. For the next award, it's actually a very special award. It's our first time we've given it, and it's the Honorary Australian Woman in Wine UK. And it's being presented by Wine Australia UK, so I would like to invite back to the stage Laura Jewell to talk about and present that award.
Thank you, Jane. It is my great pleasure to announce the winner of the Honorary Australian Woman in Wine Award. When we agreed with Jane to host the 2017 Australian Women in Wine Awards here in London, we decided it would only be fitting to include an extra UK-focused award. The Honorary Woman in Wine Award is designed to honour someone who has made a significant contribution to Australian wine here in the UK. During our discussions with the AWIWA board, as to what this significant contribution should entail, we considered buyers who had increased listings for Australian wine, the roles of PR in changing perceptions around Australia, journalists and wine writers and their influence, and educators. The list went on. But after some deliberation, we all agreed that one woman stood out, and it is great to see her here in the audience today. The winner of this award is someone who has worked with Australian wine for a number of years and is now considered to be a real authority on the subject. She has visited the country numerous times and has judged at wine shows out there. As a writer, she has been published in many trade and consumer publications, and she is also an accomplished speaker, leading masterclasses and education sessions. Australia is her true passion, but perhaps just don't tell the Portuguese that. And so it is my great pleasure to announce that the winner of the Honorary Australian Woman in Wine Award is Sarah Ahmed.
Don't give me that, I'll have it.
Yeah. That's really close together. Oh, I'm, yes, great speaker. Gosh. Well, the first thing that goes into my head, because my mum will be even more worried that I'm going to bunk off to Australia now. I'm an honorary Australian. But, well, first of all, thank you so much, and what an honour because of all the candidates and the winners, what company to hold. Something that really struck me about these awards is how inclusive they are. And, you know, number one example here, honorary Australian woman, I feel very included, and I've always felt very included by Wine Australia around the events that they do, and very grateful for them giving me that platform, and also Jancis, hiding over there, giving me a platform around the World Atlas of Wine on Australia. Those things are really important. So inclusiveness, and also I think giving credit are, to me, in my experience, incredible strengths of women. And what really struck me about the awards is that the awards are not just for the winemaker. They go to the viticulturist, the marketer, someone doing research. And I think that's incredibly important, and I love to see that reflected in the award, because so many decision makers, so many people giving awards are men. Because they're in very senior positions, they dominate senior positions. So it's fantastic to see that different frame coming from the fabulous Ladies Wine Society. And I also want to congratulate Jane for putting her head above the parapet, because, as Jancis was saying, Laura Kussenberg, interestingly, the BBC's first political editor, when women stick their head up above the parapet and they're the first, often they get a lot of barracking. So I congratulate you for doing this, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Sarah. Our next award on the program is the Workplace Champion of Change Award, and this award is proudly sponsored by the Winemakers Federation of Australia. And just a bit of a side note, this is probably the award that's closest to our hearts on the Australian Women in Wine Awards board. We think that we need champions of change, and it is the only award in the program that is open to both men and women to enter. Last year a man did win. It just happens we have 3 female finalists this year, and they are Carissa Major, the General Manager at Claymore Wines in the Clare Valley. Carissa is responsible for all operations of this 35,000 case brand, including 48 hectares of estate-grown Clare Valley vineyards and barrel store, employing 10 staff. The workforce comprises 83% women. Parents, male or female, are encouraged to take time off when their children need them. Weekends are considered sacred and work hours are flexible. Carissa says the ability to offer flexibility and acceptance of what parenthood or life entails without judgment or reprisal has been the key in attracting good people. She also engages in informal health checks to monitor stress levels and potential problem areas. Our next finalist is Professor Eileen Scott from Adelaide University. Professor Scott is Deputy Head of the School of Agriculture, Food and Wine and the Faculty of Sciences Deputy Dean for Gender Equity and Diversity. The role was established in response to a review of the faculty which identified a lack of female academic staff at senior levels. Her work has included establishing dependent travel awards to support those with children to attend conferences. She has developed a best practice in gender equality and diversity, setting out the responsibilities of the university's senior management group from the Vice-Chancellor down. And Kendall Clements-Virag, the Technical and Analysis Manager at Pernod Ricard. Pernod Ricard is the second biggest wine producer by revenue in Australia, and over the last 24 months, a female support network has been established within Pernod Ricard to drive awareness around gender diversity. Kendall oversaw the creation of the network, which included offering programs to tackle barriers and to increase demand from women in leadership roles through education and sponsorship programs. She developed the business case and gained support from senior management on the value of the company's LIFT Foundation Group, which stands for Lifting Inspiring Females Together, as well as improving flexibility and cultural change. She also initiated a Parents at Work program with improved flexible working conditions and support. I would now like to invite Karina Wright to the stage to present this award on behalf of the Winemakers Federation of Australia.
I'm really very excited to be here. I've already had many tears. We had to get a little packet of tissues here, Girls Rule tissues. I'm one of the board members of the Winemakers Federation, so it's on their behalf that I am giving this award. Oh, I'm so excited, sorry. All right, and the winner is Professor Eileen Scott from Adelaide University. So unfortunately, Professor Eileen Scott is actually not here, but she's left us a little message.
I'm absolutely thrilled to accept the Australian Women in Wine Award for Workplace Champion of Change. Helping women to forge a career in the wine sector is a particularly rewarding part of my job at the University of Adelaide. To increase the number and profile of women in the wine sector in Australia and worldwide, we do need to champion gender equality and diversity. This will help to ensure that women get a fair go in terms of opportunities for employment and career advancement. I'm grateful to the unknown person who kindly took the time to nominate me, and of course to the Fabulous Ladies Wine Society for the award and for their enthusiasm for celebrating women in wine. I'm honoured and humbled to be part of this group. I'm sorry that I'm unable to join you in person, and I hope that you have a truly fabulous event. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Eileen. I hope you were watching. Eileen was speaking at a conference in Brisbane this week and so was unable to join us here. I hope you've been able to see it, Eileen. The final event, the final award is now here, and that is the Winemaker of the Year 2017, which is proudly sponsored, as it has been since the beginning in 2015, by WineArc. This award recognises a female winemaker who has made an outstanding contribution to the Australian wine industry. The woman must be either solely or, to all intents and purposes, primarily responsible for the wines and the winemaking for their company, which may be their own, and must be publicly identified as such by the company in question. And the finalists are Jo Marsh and Alex Phillip of Billy Button Wines in the Alpine Valleys, Victoria. Jo Marsh, who is a third-time finalist, is the former winemaker at Seppelt Great Western and Feathertop Wines. Alex was Dux in the winemaking course at Stellenbosch University in 2013. Billy Button Wines was started by Jo in 2014 and Alex joined in 2016. They make up the entire winemaking, cellar, lab team, processing the fruit, managing the ferments, monitoring maturation, blending and bottling. Quite a formidable duo. This year, they processed 115 tonnes of fruit into 115 separate batches. 53 tonnes of red grapes were hand plunged, 53 individual bottle products resulted. While Billy Button Wines is having significant impact on the quality of the wines in the Alpine Valleys area, the duo also make wine for 6 of the 13 region's growers, contributing a major positive influence on the entire region. Our next finalist is Siobhan Wells from Saltram Wines in the Barossa Valley. Siobhan is Saltram's 9th winemaker since its establishment in 1859. And sees her role as balancing her own expectations of quality and consistency with those of generations of Saltram wine lovers. One aim is to demonstrate the diversity of the Barossa region to produce world-class Shiraz, and, with that in mind, she was behind the introduction of single vineyard Shiraz wines to the Saltram portfolio. Importantly, the Saltram vineyard is now being used to trial new and emerging varieties in the Barossa Valley to discover what they can offer the future of the region impacted by climate change. Grapes such as Tempranillo, Sangiovese, Fiano and Montepulciano. Last year, Siobhan was named Wine State Magazine Australian Winemaker of the Year. And our last finalist of the entire event is Virginia Wilcock of Vas Felix in Margaret River. Virginia is the long-time winemaker at Vas Felix, a noted specialist in Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon. Since 2010, she has been embarking on a program to improve wine quality, namely looking at the contribution that natural fermentations bring to wine. Her results have been positive, indeed far better than she had expected. By 2012, premium blocks only were fermented naturally. Today, all levels of reds are now fermented naturally, leading to, according to Virginia, wines finer in expression with complexity and finesse. With Chardonnay, the winemaker has introduced a new style, one that's pushing the boundaries of early picking, high solids and sulphides, taut acidity and fruit power. She believes the resulting Chardonnay, not the fat style of old or the super skinny, offers a Chardonnay of power and complexity, one that has been missing from our wine diet. I like that, a wine diet. I would now like to invite Brian Walsh back to the stage to present this award on behalf of our sponsors, Wine Arc.
Thanks, Jane. I'm the only person now standing between you and a wine diet about to kick off. On behalf of Wine Arc, I'm very excited to announce the Winemaker of the Year for 2017 is Virginia Wilcock from Vas Felix.
Wow, I mean, this is it's a pretty amazing award, albeit for a minority of Australian winemakers. We are a small group of female winemakers, but this is an important award because there's a group of incredible marketing women behind this event. So it is fabulous exposure. I do believe that it doesn't matter what sort of minority you are, it's what you do that truly matters. Philosophy, passion, and being able to work really bloody hard, because making great wine is not that easy. So if you are driven by all of these things, you can do something great. I am supported by an incredible team of men and women, incredible viticulturists, of men and women. But this is, I guess, a beautiful time in our winemaking lives at Vas Felix. And I would like to dedicate this little minority award to Margaret River, which is only 4% of Australia's wine production. But again, it's not how much you make, it's how you do it that matters. Thank you.
Congratulations, Virginia, and that concludes our 2017 Australian Women in Wine Awards. Can I also please offer my personal and very, very heartfelt thanks to the more than 60 women who've made their way out just to be here this morning. Thank you for sharing in my vision, and thank you for taking the time out and the expense of your busy week to make this a very important moment in Australian Women in Wine. We have got some amazing other events happening that Laura Jewell is going to explain in just a moment. But for everybody watching on the live stream, I hope you've enjoyed it. Can we all say a big hello back to Australia? Hello! And we hope that many of you watching tonight, and maybe some of you in the room right now, will be already thinking about getting your entries in for the 2018 awards. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane. I just want to add my personal congratulations to all the winners, and what a fabulous event. We now have the trade tasting. We've got over 300 wines to taste downstairs. We're expecting over 200 trade people in the next few hours. So I think it's time to woman your stands. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.